In today's sports world, you don't often see news or sports articles talking a lot about faith and Christianity or any type of religion at all. So I took the opportunity to talk to three athletes of multiple ages and hear a little bit more about their faith and their background and how they tie it into sports. All right, so I'm here with Matt Tuning. So Matt, what do you do for a living?
I'm a pastor, the pastor of Netcast Church in Beverly, Mass. My wife and I and our 4 kids, we moved here about 7 years ago to start a church. We moved from North Carolina. I'm originally from Jersey. My wife's from New York. Went to school on the South Shore at Eastern Nazarene College, another Christian school.
And what made you choose to go to Eastern Nazarene?
I actually went there just to play basketball. I was there as a recruit.
So going into a Christian environment at first where you weren't a Christian, what did you observe and kind of take in your first few months of being on campus and being part of that team?
Yeah, it was. I would say it was clear I didn't fit in. Pretty early on, that was pretty clear, and that was seen by, just certain language seemed like it was inappropriate, and just a certain demeanor that Christians attempted to carry themselves with, versus the way that I cared to carry myself. It was just different. They seemed to value things that I didn't value back then, and so so it was just different.
So I'm here with Daniel Tuning. Daniel, how old are you?
I'm 14 years old.
And where do you go to school?
Covenant Christian Academy.
Do you play any sports there?
Yes, I play basketball.
No other sports?
I also play soccer and track, but I focus on basketball.
So basketball is your go-to?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Covenant is a Christian school,
Yeah.
correct?
Uh-huh.
Do you notice any differences in your basketball program at Covenant compared to one of your travel teams outside of school?
At Covenant, sometimes, we could pray before a game and pray during practice. And I feel like it's also better to play with other disciples, so we can, I feel like basketball just brings us together, and just makes us, more like brothers, so we can... I think basketball knocks down barriers between friendships, so you can go from just friends to close friends. The difference is, you can talk about Christianity together and what your struggles are in Christ, because you've gone through so much together, right? Compared to AAU, whereas they're just people who don't believe in God, and you can't really and I feel like sometimes people who don't believe in God aren't I want to say real, but I know that by real I mean keeping it real,
So Daniel, what is the difference in team chemistry in a Christian environment compared to a non-Christian basketball program?
So I feel like say on an AAU team, our relationships are sort of only around basketball because that's all we do together, compared to a Christian school, whereas it's a school that we all go to together and we all hang out together doing stuff other than basketball, which gives our friendship a deeper relationship.
In your basketball program at Covenant, you talked about discipleship. What does that mean to you?
So I think that it means that at our school they want us to glorify God when we play basketball, such as not playing for the people around us, and playing for our coaches, but we should play for God, right?
What does it mean to play for God?
To not be proud on the court, to know that God is, He gave you the gift of playing basketball, and that it's a gift from Him, not just something that you do for yourself.
All right, I'm here with Abby Tuning. So tell me about yourself.
I'm 13 years old. I go to Covenant Christian Academy. I'm in 7th grade, and I play many sports like basketball, soccer, and track. To be a Christian, I think it means to love God with all your heart, put Him first before anything else.
Being a part of an athletic team at your school, at a Christian school, is it different than being a part of a local travel team?
Yes. For my school basketball team, we pray before practice, games, and with travel basketball team, we don't do any of those things. We just go play basketball and then just end.
So it stops at basketball.
Mhm.
Gotcha. What does it mean to you to be a Christian athlete?
For me, I would say I don't really compartmentalize my Christian walk. So I wouldn't necessarily even consider myself a Christian athlete. I'm an athlete, and I'm a Christian. And so being a Christian for me is like who I am, and I just so happen to be an athlete as well. And so to me, I didn't really compartmentalize it in that way. I didn't really see myself as a Christian athlete. I saw myself as a believer who followed Jesus. And so whether I was playing hoops or I was in the cafeteria eating food, I mean, it was there was a certain way I wanted to carry myself that was a representation of what Jesus had done for me and who Jesus was in my life.
Did you notice a change on the basketball court when you became a believer?
So I would say our sanctification is a slow process, and so I'm obviously not who I'm not who I was when I was in college, and who I was in college as a believer wasn't who I was when I first got to the college as a non-believer. So I would say that transformation is continually taking place. It's still taking place even to this day, and so yeah, there was a change in how I handled basketball as a believer versus how I didn't, or how I handled it as a non-believer. But that had little to do with basketball and everything to do with the change that Jesus had done in my life. The change that I had seen that was probably the greatest change was, in all honesty, basketball became more of a joy. Basketball became more fun because I think after I became a believer, basketball had its proper place in my life. Before I knew Jesus, basketball was a God to me. That was a thing that I dedicated my whole life to. And so my emotions and my attitude followed my game. If I was doing well, my emotions looked a certain way. If I wasn't doing well, my emotions looked a different way. And so, but as a believer, when my hope was in Jesus and Jesus became my God, then basketball had a proper place. And so I was able to see basketball as a place where I could just enjoy a gift that God had given me. And whether I did well, that's great. If I didn't do well, it's still great. It's still a gift that God had given me.
So as a father of four, what are some of the challenges of raising young Christian athletes?
I think the first challenge is trying to find proper attire. Definitely Santa pants is important. You need that. That's key. But beyond that, I'm really trying to raise disciples. I make disciples in my home, so which means I'm raising children to follow Jesus. And so for me, that starts with modeling it. That starts with modeling it to my kids, so that my kids see, whether it's my job, whether it's my relationships, whether it's athletics. I want to put these other things that I have in my life in its proper place, so that they see that I'm not putting like my work or my athletics or hobbies in a place or a position that is my God. I need to model that. They'll sniff that out, right? If they see that, they'll know, they'll see it. So they'll see the hypocrisy in me saying God's everything, but then I don't really put God in the proper place. So for me, I need to model it. That's where it starts. For me, it's modeling it to my kids. And then just having intentional conversations with them, right? So when they're playing sports or they're playing games, we have conversations around around what your attitude was like on the court, or what you were thinking on the court, or why are you so concerned about what other people think about you while you're on the court when your Father in heaven looks at you as completely as completely pleased, you know? And so I think those types of things help them. I know for my oldest son loves basketball, and one of the things he struggles with though is he wants to please his teammates, he wants to please his coach, he wants to please the crowd. And so when he puts that in a place of, oh, I want to do that more than I want to please God, there's an element of like slavery that's associated with that, because I'm trying to live for man and not for God. And you're going to fail man constantly, right? And so when you do that, there's no freedom now to play hoops. You're a slave to the sport because you're a slave to these people. And so, and that's something that I struggled with too. And so, you know, that's something that's one example of how I'm attempting to raise my children to understand that, listen, God is God, basketball is basketball, and so therefore let's allow God to be God and allow basketball to be a gift that He's given us.
All right, so one last question. So around the Gordon athletic community, something that's brought up often is glorifying God while you play your sport. Do you think you glorified God while playing your sport? And if so, how did you do so?
So, I mean, so you have to ask the question, well, what does it mean to glorify God, right? Paul makes a comment, whether you eat, drink, or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. Piper makes a comment, God is most glorified when we are most satisfied in Him. That's what John Piper says. It used to be like ball is life. And Jesus says, no, I'm life, right? You find life in me. I've come to bring you abundant life. And what you find is the more you follow Jesus, the more you recognize He's right.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so yeah, so to glorify God, it in my opinion as an athlete, just means to find your satisfaction in Him more than your satisfaction in the sport. And then you can really, really enjoy the sport more.